hopyard.com. Our site visit is Middlebury, Connecticut, the Little People's Village. One of the most bizarre sites that you can actually find in the Nutmeg State. So we'll venture on from Maggie McFly's and head right over there right now. And so we make our ascent into the woods where the famed Little People's Village is located. Just off of Route 63. We filmed in front of Maggie McFee's restaurant. And taking a little bit of risk here. They do threaten to tow your car. I suspect that's because of people parking and then coming over here to see this very strange attraction. It's literally buried in the woods here. So we're following the path down towards the power lines, and then just outside of just inside the woods, I should say, is the village itself. So it's November 1st right now, and day after Halloween. Thought it would be a good idea to go after the holiday. Most thrill seekers tend to spend their Octobers checking out these rather ghostly sites. So we thought it would be a better idea to wait till that was all over with and visit this site after the Halloween holiday. And they're also doing it on a Monday work day, also to reduce the chance of running into a lot of traffic. So we continue our walk here. Hopefully we should see the power line appear any moment now. This will be a signal for us to make a turn into the woods. This is my second trip to the Little People's Village. I came with 2 companions. They were much more familiar with the area than I was, and they knew exactly where it was. And we have I still have the photographs, which I'll post up with the analysis and myths, legends, and the truth behind this very remarkable and one of the spookiest attractions in Connecticut, I have to say, in terms of finding places that are just very odd. We'll go into the history of it as we approach the site here. Looks like we're getting to the first of the power lines, and I'll break away here and we'll come back in a second as we approach the village itself. And so right behind the Little People's Village is the daycare center. You can see the 2 power lines up there, the transformers. It's actually a daycare center, and right in their backyard, besides these high voltage lines, is Little People's Village, and we can begin to see part of it right now as we make our approach. You can see the path has been really worn here. If you do come here, just make sure you bring a lot of protective clothing, even if it's warm. Ticks are an issue. Okay, so this structure was actually built, it's estimated, early 20th century here. This is the house component of the Little People's Village, where there are several actual components to the structure itself. So let's go out front of it, get a really good look at it, because it's a lot we can actually tell from the structure. Okay, so this is the house. So whoever dwelled here would have lived in this structure here. Now, some really interesting things about it. First of all, you can see it was put together with some quartz, some basalt, just mortared right in. This from the structure of the house itself. Looks like they took anything laying around and patched it together. Also some igneous rock here. You can tell, remember your high school geology, the porous rock like there. So there's some evidence of, they pulled up some of the igneous rock. As we enter the home, you can see that there are these clay outfittings here, these round areas where the pipes to the house would have gone in. And they're located along this wall here, and it's not by coincidence that they're going to be pointing in this direction, and we'll explain why that is. Here again, another portion of the house. The roof was made of tin. You can see it's caved in over time. And there's another pipe here, which must have been towards the source of water. We'll just look out into the woods here. What makes this one of the creepiest places is the barred windows. So turn over here. A lot of people thought that this was kind of like watch your step, kind of like the omen when the priest barricades himself inside the little house by papering the walls with pages of the Bible. In this case, the myth, as we'll talk about, there's a couple of them, was that the individual was barring the windows to keep something out. So there's two myths that we have to talk about here. The first is that this domicile, and you can see it wasn't very high. If this was 2 stories, then it was a very, very short 2 stories. Was dwelt in 2 people lived here. There was a husband and wife, and the wife actually began hearing voices in the woods. Voices of what were known as, what the legend says, are fairies. And the fairies instructed her to actually go and build a little village for them, a place where they could live. And so she asked her husband to build a little people's village. And we're going to head out after we check out this house to actually see what that is. So he actually constructed a little village just for the little fairies that resided in the forest. And again, looking at this construction, you can see here, looks like it was very thin clay. He actually put in rocks and other materials to fill it out, give it weight, give it some tensile strength, give it some support strength, I should say. And so this is a very crude construction here. It wasn't. No wonder it's actually falling down. So eventually the voices just drove the couple mad, and they didn't survive for very long, and what was left behind was the remnants of the structure and the little people's village, a place where they could dwell. In terms of the second myth, was that it was just, this building was occupied just by a lonely hermit, and he too, according to the legend, heard the stories. Try to zoom out here, get a better look at the house. He too heard the voices, built the village to appease the fairies. In this version, he doesn't actually see them, as far as I know. There are various alternative variations on this myth, on this story. And built the village, and then was just driven mad by the voices. Just could not come to grips with what he saw here. So this is the home. Now there's a little storage area here under the front porch here, and this would have been used for storage of any kind of dry goods, anything that the family would have used and not want to keep in the house. Could have also been an oven, I'd imagine. Deep. Inside part's very deep. It could actually be an oven as well. I can't imagine that heat or way of storing. It looks like that crawl space is pretty substantial. Let's see if we can get in there a little bit. I'm not sure anyone's actually explored that. How deep that is, and it actually goes underneath the house here. We don't want to disturb any living creatures that are in here. You can see that this is more likely just a storage area for the family, so we'll climb out of here. And again, you can see another part of it. Some here, metal beams, very basic construction here, stone wall. Again. And this was, who knows what this was. This could actually have been part of the fairy village. Vandals have taken their toll on the site. And you can see this was one of the more subdued pieces of the actual fairy village that was built. I believe. Could very well be that these are structures unrelated to the site. When we get to actual pieces that were built, the small houses that were built, will become very apparent as to what those are. Some pipes here. Could be for a well, or maybe a makeshift oven here, a way of like a grill. You know. Who knows? Okay, so let's move a little further down the path now. You can actually start to see what all the interest is. Again, another part of the structure. It looks like almost looks like a pot they could use for boiling water. Who knows? And so, okay, so here we go. Here's we are relative to the house in that little storage area. We're going to go up these stone stairs, and we'll come to the first. You have to watch where we're going here. And it looks like this has actually been vandalized since I've been here. It's much more pronounced. I'll compare the photos when I get home. This was the first of the fairy houses supposedly constructed by the owner. And just for scale here, I'll put my hand up. You can see just how big this structure is. Let's zoom out a little bit. It was much more pronounced. It has eroded. I'm saying about the 2 years. I came here about 2 years ago. And the detail on it is spectacular. You can tell that the person who built the house also built this structure. The building materials are completely the same. You notice the rock embedded in this, I think it's like some kind of silt-like material. I'm not an expert on construction materials, so I will defer to more educated opinions on that. But this little tiny granite, basalt, whatever you want to call it, structure, it has some sophisticated detail here, like this little fence, little girders. And if you want to look inside, it's almost concrete. It's really, really creepy. What was the first? There's actually several of these. And this is where the whole idea of the fairy village came, and the idea that these objects were constructed for individuals who may have been prowling around the woods. So we'll talk about the true story in part 2. Got another piece of structure here. You notice that we have like a water pipe of some kind. Water, the carrying of water was very important in this side. We have an individual right here. He's also looking at the site. It's kind of creepy. Hey, how you doing?